Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be playing as Italy in the modern day scenario. We're going to be forming the Novum Imperium Romanum, or New Roman Empire. Now, this is basically what Mussolini wanted, from Italy in World War II, and so that's basically what we're going to be forming. Now, you might be wondering, why did I do this in the modern day scenario? And well, here's the thing. I tried, okay? I tried doing it in the World War II scenario of this game, but what ended up happening was listen, I was doing fine, right? I was very close to actually forming the nation, like Novum Imperium Romanum, right? But like the Axis AI, which I was part of the Axis, right? So like the Axis AI kept trying to get me killed, and eventually I got into so many wars that I realized that it would be way more worth my time, or as in I would save much more time of my out of my life if I just like started over and played the modern day scenario. So if you guys are wondering why, that's why. Because I trust me when I say I initially tried, but it just became too much of a headache. So anyways, I start of course with a quick conquest of like mainly the Balkans, right? I start, of course, with Slovenia, Croatia, all that. That goes pretty easily. And then I try annexing Kosovo. Doesn't work. Doesn't matter. I can just attack them with the troops from the Albanian War. And so that's exactly what I do. And I take them over. And then I decide to, whatever nations that I don't want, I just puppet them, right? And I use these 9,000 troops and move them over to Switzerland because I remember that there's one province I need to take out of Switzerland. And so I invade them. Now, I decide to just invade the whole of Switzerland, and I think about what I want to do. And so instead of just releasing Switzerland, I decided to instead release Germany, as in the fascist Germany. I thought about releasing fascist Switzerland, but then I was like, nah, Germany. Why? Because when I was doing the gameplay, if you guys remember from the Second Great War Spectator video, remember how Italy kept trying to put Germany back in power? Well, I sort of wanted to like emulate the same thing here. And also the fact that me creating a new vassal would be way more loyal than just like puppeting Switzerland, because Switzerland isn't going to exactly like, I don't know, Switzerland might rebel later on, whereas this Germany won't. And so after a while, Greece, right? Greece surprise invaded me. I mean, hey, this is exactly like World War II. We'll go figure. But Greece invaded me. I mean, Greece didn't surprise invade, and that's the thing, right? That's the fun. That's the different. That's where it's different, guys. Greece surprised me this time, okay, and I was able to then, since I was prepping for a different war, I just took my army and then just invaded Greece, and soon Greece fell pretty quickly. Didn't even need the Germans this time. So I annexed the whole thing, and I did what I've done. I think I've done this previously as well. I just took this. I did this when I played in the World War II scenario too. But I just puppeted Greece and then gave them the remaining islands that I didn't want. And I tried to release Rhodes separately, but I decided not to because I couldn't find any formidable nation for it. So I just decided against it. And then once I got all of Greece and started assimilating it, I just left it alone. I moved all my troops out. And reorganized my army and moved them all the way back to Rome. So that, I was using Rome as a place I could organize, right? So now the Balkan campaigns were basically done. I did not need to worry about the Balkans anymore. Morocco declared war on me, and I thought, hey, you know what? Why not? Because I have to invade there anyways. And so I started attacking, but then I realized there was Moroccan forces heading to Italy itself. Not sure why the AI was doing this, but they were. And they started attacking Genoa of all places. And so I was able to defend that attack very easily because, large recruiting population. And then I was able to invade all of Morocco. And I decided to annex Western Sahara. Now you'll see why. And my reasoning for this was that since I'm bringing back the Axis gang back together, I decided to release Francoist Spain out here in Africa. I just let them do I just let them basically be the colonial government, that's essentially what I made them. I made them my colonial government, practically. And so now these guys were, they saved me the trouble of assimilating all of that, since I didn't want to. And so now I brought back not only Nazi Germany, but I also brought back Francoist Spain, bringing back all the The good old days. Okay, no, I take that back. Guys, I don't think they're actually the good old days. Anyways, yeah, the good old days. Yeah, just bringing back these guys. But then, as I was invading Tunisia, and just as I did, Libya started attacking me, and so I had to quickly rush my troops in to defend, which I was able to. And luckily, the Libyans were like worn out by the time I counterattacked, and so because of that, I was able to just invade all of Libya. And yeah, the war went very easily. But the problem was Syria came in out of nowhere, and they took one province, and actually they took three. And then I thought they'd let it go, but no, they just annexed it. So I had to annex my part, and then I got mad because they kind of interfered, and now this basically makes me have to go to war with Syria eventually, which honestly I didn't want to do. But as I was assimilating, Egypt suddenly strikes. But oh yeah, and you might notice there was a cut there. That was because I had to go somewhere, but I like saved the game. And what essentially happened was, luckily for me, since I was the number two in the world, or number one, I was able to make peace with Egypt. So Egypt made peace with me and gave back the land. Luckily for me, actually, because if Egypt did continue that war, that would have been a very big headache. So, anyways, I decided to take those lands that the Syrians took, for myself. And of course, I decided to invade Syria along with it because why not? If I just can at this point, so I did. And then what I did was, now that I had Syria on my side, instead of just puppeting it, I decided to do a little old divide and conquer strategy. And I released a couple other nations, like I think I released State of Aleppo. Yeah, State of Aleppo. It's a formal, I think it's what, like, the formerly, like, French puppet state, whatever. And like I tried to give them more territory, but some glitch happened, and then turns out they like weren't my puppet or something. And then I released like the state of Damascus, and then I released Syria for like the remaining. And then yeah, for some reason, state of Aleppo weren't my puppet state. So what I did was I like pissed them off, then annexed them, but they didn't let me for some reason. Actually, no, they did. And then I re-released them again, but then I just decided to give it over to Syria instead. I was about to re-release them again, but I decided to give them over to Syria. And then, meanwhile, I moved over my troops to prepare for an invasion into Israel, but then all of a sudden, Austria starts attacking me. Now, I have no clue as to why, but, clearly I have to go to war with them now, so I build up my army right on the borders while they weaken theirs, attacking mine. So, soon enough, Austria falls, and I decide, hey, you know what? Since I already basically brought back Hitler, I might as well just give him all of Austria. Just give him all of Austria, because why not? And then, because we're trying to, like, make fascist Germany strong here. But then instead of giving him all, I just decided to give, like, a part of it, like half of it, and then give the other half to a fascist Austrian government. Listen, it's weird, okay? The only reason I released fascist Austria is because I kind of like the flag, okay? Guys, my reasoning sounds so arbitrary at this point, but, like, yes, it's like, I don't know, man. I just like doing it. Like, I know it's cursed, but just why not? And meanwhile, I launched an invasion of Chad. Honestly, this one was like very easy. I just walked through their country. But then, like, I took over the provinces I needed to, and then just released them as a fascist government. Which their flag kind of looks like the Philippines now that I think about it. But that aside, I looked at the places I had to conquer now, and I realized, okay, Spain is gonna come up next. So I started raising a massive army. Of course, obviously out of Greece. Greece is where I just mass recruited from. And I started raising a massive army to just invade through Greece, specifically in Athens. And I felt like this army would work. Now, I threatened Gibraltar, and they, of course, listened. And I moved the 49,000 people there. And I quickly took the provinces and started attacking, but the Spanish started attacking me. Now, suddenly, they just completely made my army disappear. Like, genuinely. I was shocked at how fast my army evaporated. But then again, I guess the AI sort of like just stacked in one province, and I attacked that one province. So, I mean, it makes sense. So I frantically rushed to create a new army. Meanwhile, the Spanish were basically reversing the course of the war, like all the gains I made just then. They were reversing the course of the war, and they started pushing back against me. So meanwhile, I started raising a whole new army in the Balkans to prepare to fight, and like this time I made it even higher than like 40,000, because apparently 40,000 wasn't enough. And so now with 60,000 troops, I once again invaded Spain for the second time. But the problem was they tried naval invading, and this time they were successful because they got me from behind. I couldn't really do anything about it. But I knew that they would lose that eventually because I had the clear numbers advantage over them. And so now I was basically free to just invade and take over as much of Spain as I wanted, which is what I proceeded to do. And yeah, no, Spain got completely conquered. Even the islands weren't spared. And once I took over those, I even went for the islands on the Atlantic, and just like that, Spain died completely. Like the AI let me completely annex Spain. So I was thinking of returning fascist Spain their territory, right? All of Spain, just like that. But then I decided, nah, I'll release like multiple Spanish kingdoms. That way I can, divide and conquer. Again, it's the divide and conquer thing, right? I decided to release like Spain, as in like the New World colonialism Spain, right? I released them. And then here I decided to release, like I was very conflicted on who to choose to like release here. I was thinking of Castile, but then I was like, nah. And then I should have probably gone with Aragon, but I decided instead to just go with the Spanish Republic. So the other Spain in the Spanish Civil War. And then I just gave them the last bits of territory, and boom, now I just had all the correct territory I needed. And I was thinking of releasing another nation in the Balearic Island that's not required, but then I just decided, nah, this is going to be too annoying, and I just gave it to Spain because to save myself some time. So now I was done with my conquest in Spain. Spain was thoroughly divided, and I would continue to just, listen, none of these kingdoms would ever rebel from me, basically, is what I practically ensured. They seem to have hated each other, but whatever. Then all of a sudden Palestine declares war on me, so I just conquer them. And then I released them again, but then I realized that I still needed the territory, like the Palestine territory, right? Which is like, okay, I eventually realized that later. Romania declared a war on me, but I did not care. I just got Ukraine to declare war on them. Sudan also, I didn't care. I made peace. I did not want to fight them. And meanwhile, I assimilated the provinces I had, and like, okay, later I'd actually realized damn it, I'm spoiling the video, guys. But yes, no, okay, forget about what I said before. Anyways, I invaded Eritrea, conquered it completely, and then I realized, yeah, Palestine, I needed that Palestinian territory, so I annexed the whole thing, but then I re-released Jordan instead, because, honestly, why not? Look, the Jordan flag looks a little less cool, but I don't know, I like the black and white. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, and so after that, I invade Yemen, and this invasion goes very quick. And like I just decided to conquer the whole thing. Now, what I do is then whatever I didn't need, I just release them like as a fascist government. And like I could have probably gone with the monarchist Yemen and just taken them, which I think I've done that before. But I decided to just go with this because I don't know, it makes sense. That being said, I technically did release a monarchist Spain, so what even makes sense anymore? Once I was done with that, I basically started looking around, looking at what I needed, and I realized that I wasn't done in the Horn of Africa. So I once again went on a mass recruiting campaign in Greece, because honestly, these guys, like Greece and the Balkans, were basically just my manpower farm, basically. This is pretty much just my manpower pool, just constantly recruiting from there. And so I just started like a mass recruiting, right? And I could recruit an even bigger army than before because I had more money now on my hands and like bigger economy. So now once I got all of that, I straight up moved people from Palestine to like start the war, and then Ethiopia attacked me. attacked me themselves. Like, I didn't even have to do it for them. But luckily, Sudan and I were good allies all of a sudden. So I just used Sudan as a launch pad to invade Ethiopia. But then Saudi Arabia and France attacked me. And so now I was in a very terrible situation, right? What do? Do I retreat from Ethiopia and send my forces back to defend the homeland? Or do I continue invading Ethiopia and let my homeland get ravaged? Well, I made my choice and I kept invading Ethiopia. Because, yes, this is like average colonialist or something. I don't know. Like, average colonialist, obviously. Like, just watches their homeland get massacred as they continue their rush for colonial territory. But my thinking in this was that, like, okay, the French could sure occupy my territory, but at the same time, I have many territories, right? So in the end, I think it was a smart decision I made because, like, France cannot truly occupy all of my territory. Plus, like, they can't occupy it faster than I can conquer Ethiopia. So then that's what my thinking was. So now I'd conquered Ethiopia, and France was all the way at the bottom of Sicily. So I freaked out. I started sending troops, but I decided to invade them differently, right? From south of France. And Kenya declared war on me, and I got scared. I got like a mild heart attack, but it was all good. I mean, they left me alone. And now soon France was actually invading into the Balkans, which concerned me a lot because, I mean, I didn't think they'd naval invade that quickly. So I thought about what to attack first, and I decided to go for Corsica because I thought Corsica would be a good idea. And then I started invading from North Italy again. And the idea was that I could cut off the French troops in Italy itself and then just work my way down the peninsula the same way the French came. Now, I tried making a peace deal, and it was a very shameless peace deal where I just got everything back for, nothing. And, like, I don't know. I didn't know why. I don't know why I expected it to work, but I thought there was, like, a slim chance that France would just be, like, willing to do that. But then again, if I was in France's position, I would not want to let this go either. So I just continued. Again, my plan was working now. I continued to just basically retake my peninsula. And like, because most of the French troops had left Italy and now they were in Greece. They were now invading Greece, right? They were in my Balkan territories. And so what I did was I raised troops in Greece and because I wasn't in debt anymore. And so those guys basically held out and battled the French and held out in Athens, while my troops on the mainland retook Italy itself. And soon enough, the French troops had been completely watered down, the French troops in Greece, I mean. And I was able to now start retaking provinces left and right. And soon enough, I had reversed all of the gains the French had made. And so now I was once again completely in control of all of my territory and a little bit more, as in the territories that I needed from France for this formation. And so, just like that, I was able to get the territories I needed from France. So, again, in the end, the war turned out good. But meanwhile, I realized that now I had neglected Ethiopia for quite a long time. I could not let it sit like that. Meanwhile, the French had massacred parts of my Balkan territories, meaning I had to now boost happiness there. Which, I mean, of course, that's going to be frustrating because they rebel. And then afterwards, I decided to move my troops, organize them all back in Rome. Like, Rome is basically the meetup spot, right? And these units, I took them and then proceeded to prepare for another war, right? I knew these guys were going to have to go. And then all of a sudden, I noticed that Iraq just invaded Palestine, or my territories in Palestine, right? And like, I was confused because I thought, like, I was wondering where they came from. But I decided, I just invade them through my puppet Jordan. I mean, I could just do that. And which I did. Now, the Iraqis actually fought pretty well in this war. They actually, like, put up a very decent fight. And they did not let me conquer their country very easily, right? I was going to be satisfied just taking the north and south of the country. I didn't want any more. But they said no. And they straight up invaded Yemen through Saudi Arabia as well. So again, the Iraqis were gonna be a pretty challenging fight. Meanwhile, you guys can put this down in like the list of cursed images of AOC2, but Japan taking over all of Turkey sure bites the cake here. Takes the cake. What's the? I don't even know the. I don't even know the saying. Sure takes the cake. I don't know what the word the saying is. I forgot. But meanwhile, as I was invading Iraq, suddenly Syria joined in. Like I don't know why. Like I didn't ask them to. They just joined in as my vassal. So that was nice of them. But them helping didn't. I mean, they did help decent amount. So it wasn't like annoying or anything. But meanwhile, I managed to take over all of Iraq, almost all of it, right? The Iraqis were still in this. But I went for their holdings in like the Arabian Peninsula, like, the UAE, and they'd taken part of Oman too. So I decided to retake those, or take over those, so that they could weaken them. And then I once again invaded navally. And meanwhile, the Saudis declared war on me, and I was like, okay, this is going to be way too much of a pain if they get involved. But luckily, Saudi Arabia pieced out immediately. They knew they didn't want to get what Iraq was about to go through, which Iraq got conquered, and I took everything. So then I decided to release the UAE and then give them all the territory. Meanwhile, I decided to annex Kuwait, but the game didn't let me, so the AI didn't let me. And so I was about to release a puppet, which I did. I decided to release Kurdistan, like in the north. Again, what I wanted to do, it's like the typical divide and conquer, yeah? It's pretty simple. I mean, I did what I do. I did this because here's the thing. If I puppeted Iraq as it normally was, there would be a chance that they could grow powerful enough and then eventually rise up against me. So if I divide these countries before they can do that, then they cannot. It's simple. So it's very, very effective political strategies, guys. I mean, yeah, it's kind of awkward. But I re-released Kuwait and gave them part of Iraq, and then I re-released Iraq. So now we split Iraq into 3. And then meanwhile, I decided to release Lebanon as just, a nation. So now I was completely surrounded by puppet states, which, I mean, honestly, I like it. It's very pleasing to... It's very pleasing to me when I'm surrounded by puppet states. And by this point in the game, I had, practically infinite money. I was just a flush with cash. I could raise any army I wanted to. And so with that, I just started invading Somalia. I mean, this one would be very easy. They started attacking me from the sea. I mean, come on, that's not really gonna do much. And I mean, listen, Somalia being such a long and very long border, having a very long border, I just conquered them very quickly. It's very simple. And then I realized, oh wait, Kenya's here. I had to take territories from them. And I mean, of course, they attacked me initially, but I wasn't ready for that then. But now I am. So I used Ethiopia this time as my recruiting basin, because I mean Ethiopia has a very high population, and so I just invaded and just took that one province. The Kenyans attacked first, but I mean honestly, they didn't make a dent in my army. Meanwhile, I once again reorganized after that quick war and sent them all the way over to Egypt, or actually the border of Egypt, because now there was only one country left for me to conquer, which, okay, any prizes? There's no prizes for guessing who. It's Egypt. So I raised an army in Libya and Tunisia to then proceed to invade Egypt. And so when I was finally ready, I just invaded from both sides, from both the Sinai and the Sahara. Ooh, that actually has a nice ring to it. The Sinai and the Sahara. Okay, but yeah, Egypt was invaded and they just died. Okay, not really. They tried to push me back in the north, but I managed to take back and prevent them from doing so. And after that was really their main only attempt at fighting back. The rest of it was just I managed to surround their forces, the last bit of their army, in one province in the final battle for Egypt, and I just took it over very quickly. But they managed to actually move down a bit and actually managed to survive a bit longer. But I took it over, and just like that, we formed Novum Imperium Romanum. Thank you guys for watching.